We're back. I had a little hiatus. Mark had to take the ball and run with it. I hope you enjoyed the show with our guest star Michael. We got a lot to talk about, just like we do every week. This team is just fun to watch. Let's get right into it. I have a couple talking points I want to make sure we hit on. I'm sure you do too. So, where's your head at after this crazy game last week against the Jags?
Yeah, 52-6. I can't. After that game, that's why Levati and I hopped on. I'm sitting there going, this was just a mind-blowing, different experience. I'm not mad about it. We've never been that team, Hitch, where we've been able to just sit back and watch those games, where we just go on autopilot and go, yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to blow them out. It's going to be a blowout. And then it happens. So,
Well, how many times have we been on the receiving end of that? Yeah.
It's
nice to not be on the receiving end for a change. I want to talk about, for decades and decades and some people's fucking lifetimes. But what I want to talk about is, did they leave the starters in for too long? We don't have to get into that right off the rip here, but that's something I want to touch on. Yeah, I've been saying it for a minute. Yeah. You want to do it now?
You can ask Alicia. When we were watching the game, I said, this is going to be a point of contention right now for this team. And we're at that point where that's a valid argument. The first time you got a little hot to bother about it, I gave you a hard time. But this is the game where why was Jared Goff even in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that it would be nice to get some of this depth, this depth that everyone's looking forward to maybe seeing one day. It would be nice to get them like a full half, right? So let me frame it to you this way. At what point would you have pulled starters? Like, go with the score. Would it be 21-3? Would it be 28-6? When would you feel comfortable pulling these dudes?
I would honestly say in that game, Hitch, it would have been the start of the fourth quarter.
Okay.
I don't exactly remember the score, but pick a player that didn't have a game ball experience on our offense.
It's almost hard to
Gibbs.
Yeah. They all even my boy Brock Wright found the end zone. Goff was fucking actually statistically perfect again. So
yeah,
win is enough. These guys aren't going to come back from 30 whatever to 3 or 6. So what are you kind of risking at the same time? I know these guys are ultra competitive, and this is what you pay them for. And your boy Kirby Joseph, standing in his locker after the game, was asked this question, and he said, "You better come in here ready to try to win. And if you're not ready, we're going to do our thing." Which I get it, but even though Anzalone didn't get hurt when it was out of reach for Jacksonville, there's guys like that. We saw Smith go down, and we all held our breath thinking this is over before it started. Anzalone broke his arm. Do you want that to happen to a Kirby Joseph? Do you want to risk that happening to McNeil? I don't know. There's no good answer.
Yeah, you're right. There's no good answer. I don't want that happening, but that's a prime example of what did happen. So I don't want to get too hung up on that because we do have a lot to celebrate. Like I said, St. Brown was a highlight reel. J-Mo is a highlight reel. We talked about it. Did anybody this week mention anything to do with his criminal history or his guns or his suspension? Or nope. Play the clip of us saying, as long as he goes out there and just blows up, no one cares.
That will not come back up until he has a costly fumble or has a couple of shit games. It will never be mentioned again unless people get mad at him.
Right.
Like you said, Ray Lewis killed somebody. As long as they win a Super Bowl, nobody cares. Nobody really talks about that anymore. It's sad. It's pathetic, but that's how it goes.
It's reality. St. Brown, J-Mo, Gibbs, Monty, all highlight games. I don't even know where to start. They all did what they always do. Gibbs was the fastest player in the NFL. Montgomery is the most... I will not be denied keep your hands off me. Like I
The
don't know what he
the
is.
the yards after contact, like he doesn't even have to try to make the first guy miss, to just steamroll somebody, and then what should have been or would have been on any other team a 2-yard gain, he turns into an 8-yard first down. I love the Sonic and
Well,
Knuckles comparison. It's apt.
we saw it in the game too,
Go for
where
it.
he just gets shoved right in the back too. I mean, he's telling these linemen, dude, launch me like a cannonball. So whatever they've came
Yeah.
up with, whatever that running back scheme is, it happens every game. We could sit here and cover that and show a bunch of highlights and show a bunch of cool videos like we have been doing, but this is where I wanted to really talk about this game, was the defense, right?
Oh, yeah.
I said it during the game. Everyone was thinking it. Yeah, you're playing the Jaguars, man. The offense just put up X amount of points. I know, and this sounds weird, I know they haven't scored a touchdown yet, but what else are you doing, right? That's a game where if you've put up that many points on their defense, your defense should wreak that much havoc on their offense. And while I did see some awesome hits by all of our safeties and corners, we saw Robertson, Branch, and Kirby Joseph have massive, massive hits.
Yep.
Jack Campbell is everything you said he is, plus more hitch.
Plus more. And this week, I want to touch on that too, because this is his time to shine. This is his time to do what we drafted him to do. And it's been fortunate that we haven't had to press him into such an expanded role. But now's his time. Just keep doing Jack Campbell stuff and let everyone else around you elevate because of you, right? He's going to do Jack Campbell stuff, and this is a big opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's going to do Jack Campbell stuff, and I think it's going to let Zadarius Smith do Zadarius Smith stuff of 2 years ago.
Agreed.
He had a half sack, took a little bite, but the game that we're walking into against the Colts, I want to see the defense. I know Brian Branch can hit. I know Kirby Joseph can hit and take the ball away. I know Jack Campbell can hit. I want to see something big and explosive out of somebody. Do you know what I mean, Hitch?
I do, and I've told you all along, as prolific and record-breaking as this offense has been thus far, I am still chomping at the bit to get this defense on the field. I've seen what this offense can do. It's fun to watch. They do their tricky shit, but I'm looking at the leaps forward that our secondary is taking. I'm looking at these absolute leap forwards that our healthy linebackers are taking. I'm looking at the depth that we have on defense, and this propensity to ball hawk is just so fucking fun to watch. And it's fun watching Goff score receiving touchdowns. It's fun watching Brock Wright get into the end zone and all this hook and ladder stuff. But all year, I've kept a close eye on this defense, and it's just so much fun, man.
Well, let's take this game as a marker and say, what do we want to see out of this team? Not even see, what do we expect, right? Because we've set our expectations post-Hutch now. We've got the trade that we predicted. We've gotten the production out of the safeties, linebackers, and corners that you predicted. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph have taken us all by storm with leading the league in interceptions. But what do you want to see? Who do you want to see do what, though? We got to get more granular with this defense.
I am, like I think I just stated, I'm looking very forward to Jack Campbell taking this lead role up the middle, hopefully elevating his pass coverage a little bit too over this next 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it might be. But I'm really looking at Newman, who gives a fuck? I'm looking at that dude who is such a nice surprise out of camp, made the 53. I'm looking to see how he responds to elevated playing time. And then with Rodriguez back and healthy and contributing last week before Anzalone went down and can't come back for a while, I'm looking to see what he does. I'm gonna call it now. I hope that it's like this Jack Campbell effect, kind of like the McNeil effect or the Hutch effect. Let's see if Jack Campbell can keep doing what we think he's going to do, or what we expect him to do, I should say. And let's see how this trickles down. Who's the beneficiary of getting this elevated snap count? Is it one of these linebackers, Rodriguez, took extra snaps already and has elevated himself in pass coverage, I think. We've seen it. Let's see what these two young guys can do. Jack Campbell actually being the younger of the three, or maybe the least years in the league of these three, I believe, but he is solidified. He is established. He is our inside linebacker for maybe the duration of the regular season at this point. Let's see what these two guys do in Neiman and Rodriguez with these elevated snap counts. I think we'll be surprised. There'll be some step backs or some faults here for sure. Growing pains, whatever you want to call it. But I think at the end of the day, being down Anzalone, being down Barnes, and linebacker, I know I'm pontificating now, but linebacker is arguably our only position on the entire team that doesn't have the depth that other positions have had or have. So let's see. They picked up this kid, I think his name is Long, from Miami. They did that under the radar. That happened yesterday, I believe. I didn't even notice it till yesterday night. But this cat is a starter. He was a starter in Miami. I think in the last 2 years, he has like 900 snaps. Younger guy, productive guy. Had 100, I believe, 100 tackles last year. He got cut because he didn't jive with the new defensive coordinator in Miami. And then we're able to swoop in, add this guy probably as a depth piece. But also, to answer your question, let's see what he does. Let's see how quickly they integrate him. Let's see. We've flipped this from a shallow position to hopefully a position of depth in spite of two major injuries in that group.
I think you're alluding to a little bit more of the punch out, the linebacker punch out. They've been punching this ball out the last couple games.
The peanut punch. The peanut punch has been more prevalent across the entire league this year than ever before.
I was going to say, I've seen it a lot more this whole, not even just with the Lions, but like you just stated. So this is the game I think we have, because while you're talking and you're pontificating, we're going to go up against Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited about that.
This is a good game because he is I feel bad for him, but he's already kind of a gun-shy, PTSD-ridden quarterback, where Neiman, Rodriguez, this is a game where you really try to mess with this young quarterback who is known to panic and run.
Well, and he can't scramble.
Punching, which is not a problem, right?
Right.
He's not Lamar Jackson, though, right? He's not.
He's not even Josh Allen, man. I mean, there's guys that can pick up 15 and guys that can't. Is he more likely to break out loose than Goff or like a Tom Brady type guy? For sure. But I personally don't think they have enough weapons on offense where we can't leave a spy, where we won't be able to bring 7 or 8 at a time if we want to, because we have to worry about him like you would a Jackson. He's an athlete for sure, and he can be dangerous, but I don't think he's a game changer at this point.
So what is it, a 4-sack game or a 5-sack game?
For the defense overall?
Yeah, Neiman's not getting 5 sacks. I'll call it as it is right now, but what do you think? Because that's where I'm headed.
I think standard. Doesn't matter who we're playing. You hope for 3, or maybe pencil in 3. Pray for 5.
Okay,
I don't know.
Yeah, but do you really pray for 5 when you have Zadarius Smith? Really, I would say you're going to see the full thing out of him. He had his bye week, and then last week I don't want to say we didn't really need to see much out of him. Is this a game where he goes out and just goes and, I don't know, maybe I just see this. I just see Anthony Richardson getting smacked around a little bit by us. I
hope
don't
so.
know.
I hope so.
Yeah, we hope so, but I feel like this is really the game. He had
a better
20
team
for 30 against
the
Jets. Yeah, there you go. They're a better team than Jacksonville. They are. They're 5-6, but I don't want to give them I don't want to give them any shit because they are a pretty decent 500 team right now.
I mean,
those are the teams that can hurt you.
With the exception of week 2 with Tampa Bay, it was a winnable game. And in hindsight, we know what we needed to do to win that game. We weren't able to do it for whatever reason. But we've had some soft games. I mean, Dallas is not who Dallas thought they were, who we all thought Dallas was going to be. We did what we needed to do. We manhandled them. Then you look ahead to a Titans game. We did what we were hoping, or what we should be able to do to a team like Tennessee. And again, in a beat up team like Jacksonville, we did exactly what we expected them to do. This game's a little tougher. They're not, they're not the 7-1 Chiefs. They're not the Eagles, but they're a better team, and I think we're ready for it.
And that all goes to the run defense, because look what Houston did up against Dallas, right? Again, they're Dallas. They're shitbox Dallas. Yep. Houston, though, Joe Mixon had 3 touchdowns. When we played Houston, we completely eliminated Joe Mixon from the game plan when it came to putting him in the end zone. And we're the only team that's been able to do that. So,
and not only were we able to do that, obviously, but I've been absent here for a little while, and I feel like I'm getting myself up to speed in terms of what I wasn't able to put my 2 cents in on. How many picks did Goff have? Fucking 5?
5
against Houston, and we won.
Yeah.
Right. I felt like watching that Houston game. All you can prepare for is what you know of each team's personnel and what you can see on tape going back, however far they want to go back. Houston took the assignment seriously. Houston looked at what they have to do to try to do what they effectively did, even though they didn't win the game. It's no secret that you disrupt Goff and you throw him off, and that's your only real chance right now.
Houston got their arms up. That's what they did.
Absolutely.
Because he's the best quarterback still under the blitz when he's facing the blitz. And
because
there's no secret that you need to blitz us. But Houston did a really nice job of putting their hands up and disrupting those outlets in those times. And I think that's the kind of Manning Brady style of cerebral play that Goff does, where if when he's in that loop and he's locked into that 4th dimension, there's no getting into his head. Right. But if you can put your hands up and kind of scramble his signals he's throwing out in the beginning of the game, you're gonna get that.
Well,
but his defense has his back, right? That's how important Goff is to this team. And I was making an argument with my friend Wayne about this, because he's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, loves Josh Allen. I can completely understand why. But, I was talking to him and I said, this is what happens when you play in the NFL. Everyone is entitled to one bad game. You know that, and I know that.
Sure.
So when you're an MVP and you're going to have your one bad game, your defense and your team is going to have your back that much to make sure that it doesn't impact the rest of everything you do behind the scenes, right? Yep. So, I'm not going to get hung up on this Goff for MVP shit, but
there's a lot of season left.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, of the Houston game, because obviously we didn't get to talk a lot about it, but that was the one game that I think really tested our team's locker room resiliency, right?
Yep.
We were supposed to lose at halftime. We were
statistically
down,
you're out of it. Statistically, you are done. Just like our Detroit Tigers were, with a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs, and they did it, dude. And the last thing I think I want to say about Houston, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about something that happened 2 weeks ago. I never felt like we were out of that game, and that sounds a little bit ridiculous to say when you're at halftime just screwing the pooch, but I feel like this coaching staff has such a beat on what's going on, and Houston was able to throw something different at us, something that we potentially didn't see on tape during the whole week of game prep. But it was almost this feeling of like they just need to see a little bit more. They need to see a little bit more to tailor their game plan. They need to see exactly what they're doing to figure out how to crack that code. And then they did exactly that. They did what we have been pleading for them to do since I was a little
halftime
kid.
adjustments.
Halftime adjustments, dude. You took the words out of my mouth. Even with their stellar season last year, we've said this time and time again, to quote Campbell, they've never really been able to make those adjustments and come out and put their knees to somebody's neck, and that they turned a corner. It's hard to say that at that time, 6-1 team could get better, but they turned a corner against Houston, I think.
No, you're exactly right. I did not feel like for one moment that we were out of that game. It was a game where I said, okay, boys, you're going to go into halftime and you've got to make your adjustments. Because I know what Houston is. Houston is us 2 years ago. I know what that team is.
They're on the cusp.
Have enough. Yeah, they're really good. And I really like DeMeco Ryans and I like CJ Stroud. And
solid nucleus, solid young coaching staff.
I just want to see them. They'll take the next step in the draft. And
sure.
But it was that game where I said, as you just so eloquently put, this is our time to show everybody that we're going to make halftime adjustments and pull some top tier level NFL football team coaching. And I don't really think you saw anything in that locker room other than, okay, guys, we figured it out. Like you said, let's get back out there. Just listen and play your assignment.
Get back out there.
I feel like that's all they talked about.
Get back out there and implement this. They called a proverbial audible, if you will, at halftime, and they said, this is what we have to do. And they went out and they did it.
And I feel like the players just said, yeah, we kind of felt like that's where it was headed. Got it. Because it looked effortless. It looked seamless. It looked like they said, it was almost like they walked into the locker room and they just reprogrammed all the players and they said, got it. Just walked right out, man. Again, and kudos to the coaching staff for this.
Absolutely. It was every bit as much of their win as it was from what happened on the field. They're pulling the strings. They're making the adjustments. The guys respect them enough to listen, and they have the ability to then turn around and do it, right?
Yep.
So it was still a fun game to watch. And again, I keep saying I'm not going to keep talking about this game from 2 weeks ago, but one more thing. Of those 5 picks, you rewatch that as I have, as I'm sure you have, and a lot of us have. 2 for sure, maybe 3 of those were on Goff. The rest were batted balls, and
they were.
And so it's not unheard of by any means for a good quarterback to throw 2 picks and still win a game. It's not unheard of for an MVP caliber quarterback to go out and have 3 turnovers, 3 picks. At that point, you really the stats flip, and you're probably not going to win that game. But if you take away the things that were out of Goff's control, we're talking about a 2 or 3 pick game here. It's not something catastrophic. It's not what happened to Jared Goff. It's not time to warm up Hendon Hooker. 2, if not 3 of those weren't his fault. And then you're looking at a game where he had 2 picks. Guys do that all the time. Don't sound the alarm.
And there is no need to sound the alarm because now we've seen halftime adjustments, we've seen battle tested depth, we've seen young guys, we've seen old guys, we've seen we've seen a good half of the season, man. I really, really like where we're at right now.
Me too.
We've seen our divisional opponents, a la the Bears will be real soon. They just seem like a straight dumpster fire, which I'm really excited.
God, they are floundering, man. They are floundering.
Really, like you feel really sad for the Bears fans that
I don't
have. No, I don't either. I was really trying to set it up to just even step on them harder, because all they've got is really just one defense from over 40 years. Well, 40 some years ago now. Like that's all you really have. I would rather have nothing like we have at this point because it doesn't seem like this is a flash in the pan team.
The Bears have had enough success to know just how bad this team is and how long potentially it's going to take them to right the ship because they've been on the other side of it, not in a while. What was it? Dick Duran's team with Urlacher that went to a Super Bowl, I believe, probably lost to Peyton Manning, if I'm not mistaken, Peyton's first ring. But how long ago was that? I think we were in high school when that happened. Okay, so in college, beginning of college.
Rex Grossman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sexy Rexy was the quarterback. It was
Yeah, buddy.
it was the defense led, like you said. Rex Grossman was a game manager. He was
Yep.
um,
Florida State or something.
Trent. No, he was Trent Dilfer with Baltimore. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was doing his job and he was doing it just fine. And in a time where you really could win with those quarterbacks because the game was, I don't want to say more one dimensional, but the game was a little bit more.
The game was run
It kind of
heavy.
was.
The game was run heavy.
That's one dimensional. It was run heavy. There was no
and
RPOs.
it goes in waves. It goes in waves.
It does.
Yeah. The Matt Fortes of the world made it a thing where guys stopped drafting running backs in the first round and thought that they didn't need to pay running backs. And that's because of guys like Matt Forte. But behind the scenes.
I hated when we had to play the Bears with Matt Forte.
Yeah. But then Matt Forte benefited from this defense with Urlacher and Tillman, and they had a stellar special teams unit, and they were a complete package with their offense being the least productive of the package. It goes back to defense wins championships. So
yeah, and fuck it, this ain't a Bears podcast, so fuck them. So
fuck that.
I'm just glad, we've seen some of the better teams, I would say, already in the league. We talked a little bit about this, I think 2 weeks ago, Hitch, where we were kind of looking out to see what does the second half of the season look like. To me, it's the Bills game that I'm going with Jason.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yep. That is going to be really the one game where that is where I just think we're going to see the closest thing to how are they going to look in the playoffs. That's a playoff game. That's a Super Bowl matchup.
They're a playoff caliber team. They're an AFC contender. They're stacked with probably future Hall of Famers. Not to,
Oh, that's a fair assessment. They're a good team. They're stacked.
Josh Allen, man, if I was rebuilding right now, if there was a Rule 5 draft or an expansion draft and everybody was available, Josh Allen, he's up there, man. He's up there. He's mobile enough to worry about. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's cerebral. He's more than a game manager. He plays in the pocket, outside of the pocket. Yeah, they're just a good team.
If he smokes cigarettes, would you like him more over Jay Cutler?
I mean, give it time. He might pick up the habit.
But I'm serious. Like if I got him on like a FaceTime and he just was like, "Don't tell anyone, Hitch," and lights up a dart.
Non-Lion, I would have to say on the offensive side of the ball, Josh Allen is currently my favorite player to watch.
Okay, cool. I can respect that. That's what makes that game so hard for me, man, because like we're going to play the 49ers and I'm really not too we're not playing the 49ers of 2 years ago where I'm like, God damn it, that's a good ass team. The 49ers are a great franchise. They're a very good team, but I'm not deathly afraid of them.
Success comes from the top down, and the current GM of the 49ers is my favorite athlete of all fucking time, right? So I have a little bit of reverence for what they're doing there, but they are not the 49ers of old, right? They're
5-5. I'm sorry, I just had to check.
They're beat up. They're beat up. They've had a lot of injuries. Christian McCaffrey came back 2 weeks ago and got right back to doing Christian McCaffrey stuff, and but they're missing Ayuk. Ironically, after that huge contract dispute and all that publicity, he comes out, plays a few games, and is done for the year. Right?
Yeah,
they don't give the ball out of the backfield like Debo like they used to. So there's some dynamics there that makes it not as fun to watch as it once was. There's the whole Brock Purdy experiment too. I had this conversation ironically earlier today. I still don't know what Brock Purdy is. I love the idea of Brock Purdy being that pseudo Tom Brady. He needs 6 more rings before he enters that lexicon. But I like the idea that you can get this underdeveloped yet talented and cerebral quarterback in the last round of the draft that then just becomes the starter, right? There's a lot of things intriguing about that team.
It is. It's a very intriguing team, but would you say that the main separation between the Lions, the Bills, and the 49ers would be culture, like the pulse of the locker room, the head coach to the GM to the fan base. The Bills
So,
Mafia is the closest thing you're going to see to what we have.
right.
But the culture over the culture just seems to be
I don't think that
a
it's
little
a
bit more
toxic
stale.
I don't think it's a toxic environment, but a
Shanahan just
holdout.
doesn't look like he has that big dick energy anymore.
Yeah,
Like
that
he
big
had
Detroit
that
energy.
flat brim hat.
Yeah.
He had that kind of I'm cool and hip look like 2 years ago. But when I think of probably the best cultures and the best locker rooms, the best gritty fan bases, it was probably going to be like a Buffalo and a Detroit situation, right? So
Let me
dude, you're probably going to see a Super Bowl caliber game between Detroit and Buffalo. Is the original point I wanted to kind of make, because I'm not discrediting these other teams, but I'm very comfortable with where we're at right now
absolutely.
with our relationship with our division. I still think we've got the ability to lose one more game. I still think that's
We
coming.
probably have the ability to lose 2 or 3 more, even fucking 4 more, and still make the playoffs. But if we start talking about winning the division, and having MVP level candidates on this roster, we're looking at maybe being able to lose 2 more.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm more worried about these teams that are coming down this midseason stretch here after the trade deadline that are on the upswing. I would rather play St. Louis in the Super Bowl, if we want to go that far, than playing a team right now like Denver or Pittsburgh, to be honest.
Yeah, Pittsburgh seems to be really hot right now. Dan V threw that out there of Detroit Pittsburgh, which would be an awesome Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin, I love Mike Tomlin. I love that culture.
I've loved Mike Tomlin for years, man. And right when you think he's out, and there's always this talk of him being on the hot seat when he's hovering around 500 at this point, maybe. And then he just finds a way to rally. He comes back. He has a good draft. I mean, who's their safety there? It's obviously not Polamalu, but kind of cut from the same cloth. And he hasn't even turned it on yet this year. They're on the up, and Russell is doing some Russell stuff. He's starting to cook, and they have some serious contributors there that have been off to a slow start. So that's why I say I would rather play somebody like San Fran than encounter a hot team like Pitt.
Oh, I agree. I'm not mad about our schedule. I should start making a list of things I never thought I'd start complaining about. And it's kind of one of those situations where now I think I've reset my expectations for the season now that I've seen a few things. Have you reset your expectations, or do you feel like everything is where it was at week 1, where you're at right now?
I feel like I reset my expectations in about week 3. I think I was very vocal about feeling that this team was a playoff team, but I would have to look back or listen back at where I had their record at this point in the year. It was not 8-1. It was not 8-1. So I think I reset my expectations.
I didn't think mine was either.
Yeah, I feel like maybe if I had to wager a guess, I was thinking 7-2, maybe even 6-3 at this point. Tampa was one that I was concerned about.
I was going to say a 6 kind of like us looking like a Houston right now. I'm used to us looking like Houston, a 6-3 team, then that goes out and smashes the Dallas Cowboys. Because, dude, can we literally just not let Jerry Jones fire? Like, what do we got to do to embarrass the Cowboys? ESPN still gives them all the coverage in the world. The team has been hot garbage for the last 10 years.
Did you happen to see
even give them an ounce of attention?
Did you happen to see before this dumb Jake Paul, Mike Tyson bullshit that happened last Friday or Saturday in Dallas at their stadium? Did you see that like a piece of metal fell off the roof? Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but literally the sky is falling in Dallas. I mean, so
God,
apropos,
how
but they are
apocalyptic.
such a shit show, right? The sky is falling in Dallas.
Well, what is Jerry? 96 years old on Earth
You
years,
know,
but in
92 or 3 going
satanic.
on 300.
I was gonna say, but in like satanic Mason years, he's got to be what 368.
All that Pizzagate, baby blood, all that shit, keeping them young.
Adrenochrome. I mean,
Yeah.
look at him,
I
dude. Though
guarantee you he didn't get the vaccine.
Oh God, that's gonna get us banned now on YouTube.
Do it.
Dude, the problem is who's gonna ever stop him? I feel like
Nobody.
this is an
He's
episode of
got-
South Park where he's gonna eat himself.
It's symbiotic of what's going on across the globe here. He's a rich old white man that is just fucking shit up. So
Yeah, he is.
I
With
apologize.
a guy named Cooper. With
Yeah,
a
I
white guy named
apologize
Cooper.
Yeah, right. I apologize to everybody else. I feel like we're a couple of the good ones, and we can just say we're sorry. We're sorry for rich old white men.
Dude, that's I'm not really sure how much longer I can take Jerry Jones. I really just can't. Like, they're gonna have to do something because it's still a profitable, marketable logo and team. But you're gonna lose guys like CeeDee Lamb. They're just gonna say trade me, right? Or pay me the fuck, and no one else is gonna want to be there. But
yeah, you can
I
only
don't know.
claim to be good and a contender for so long before the wheels fall off, and the wheels are falling off.
The wheels are absolutely falling off, and they owe so much money to so many players. And you look at a team like the Lions, where the cap space is still on the positive. They're just managing things the way we want to see them. Honestly, better than I would have expected with all these in-season contract renewals. Oh, I love that.
Big talent, big personality. We're still on the right track, man. So,
yeah, in the draft we're just continuing to hit on the draft.
So this isn't a Dallas podcast, even though I could just have a great time trashing Dallas all day.
Yeah, that's true. Fuck
and we both got some shit to do, so we aimed at keeping this one a bit shorter. We're approaching 40 minutes. There's a couple of things that I might want to throw at you and maybe give you some time to ponder to come back with next week. Are we to that point yet? Is there anything that you wanted to get in that we couldn't get in yet?
No, I mean, we're pretty well in. Like, we've got the Colts coming up. I think we said exactly what we anticipate is this is a defensive first led game. I want to see fuck it. We want to see 5 sacks. I want to see disruption. I want to see Anthony Richardson scared. I know everything that this offense can do. Now let's make this a defense focused game. That's it. I'll end it with that.
Dig it. And I'll say this, as I've said before, and I'll continue to say, I don't think he's doing a bad job, but I keep waiting for Pasquale to kind of be a little bit more disruptive, right? So let's look at that. Let's watch Pasquale, see what happens with him next to Smith, and maybe an increased snap count. The other thing, just kind of a fun thing that I've been thinking about for a few days, and it's not an original thought. I can't remember where I heard this question posed, but it really got me thinking. We both have been very high on Branch and Joseph, and rightfully so, right? Think back to the last time that we saw safety tandem so productive, so feared, so hard hitting. They call them the Legion of Boom. It was Cam Chancellor. It was Seattle. So these guys, not the safeties as a whole, not the defensive secondary as a whole, but Joseph and Branch need a nickname. So we had the Legion of Boom in Seattle. I'm not even going to throw anything out there. I'm going to take some time to come up with this because we might have an opportunity to coin something here. But let's think about, obviously the black and blue stuff is there.
I know you're going to go like real 1946 post World War II shit. You're going to get some
real Dust Bowl shit. But let's
you're going to go Dust Bowl. Mine's going to just be awfully corny and terrible. We'll meet somewhere in the middle.
And maybe we can pose this to our listeners that got 40 minutes into this, but hit up the wall on the forum. Hit up the comment threads on this post. Let us know what you think a fitting nickname for this tandem who's really doing something special, right?
Yeah, and last minute, speaking of special, dude, we hit 50 subscribers on YouTube, so you got to start wearing some lion shit.
I got something in the works. I made a couple orders, busted the Cricut out, bought some shit. I got something in the works. Hopefully
All
it'll be
right,
ready
well, I'll believe it when I
next week.
see it, motherfucker.
It's happening. I got the hoodie sitting on my couch. I got some other shit to go with it ordered. I'm excited about it. So we'll see.
Well, good.
Yeah. And
Make
you know
it
what?
fucking
Just to wrap it up here, we're gonna have a couple episodes in rapid succession here. We got Thanksgiving coming up on a short week.
Yeah.
So let's look forward to seeing what they can do, getting tested by a little bit better of a team than Jacksonville or Tennessee or
Yeah. I'm looking
any
forward
of
to this
these.
game. It's going to be a good game to watch. I think you're going
Yeah.
to see, no offense to Jacksonville, they look like a high school football team, but I think the Colts are a very respectful team, a good franchise. And
Well, the management of that franchise is lacking, but what they show us on the field, they have some skilled talent at some very skilled positions. Let's see
Yep.
what we do. Let's see. And
Let's
I'm
see
glad
it.
it's Richardson. I'm glad it's Richardson and not Flacco. I feel like it brings an added dimension, another challenge, an
Yeah.
opportunity for us
Yeah.
to show what we're doing here. So let's see. Let's get back on Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe, and talk about the Colts.
All right, let's get back. We'll see you.
Deuces.
Peace.